Hey, how's it going? I want to do another video about just kind of general current events, things that have been happening. Having Justin Trudeau, I'm still on it, about his apology, and then the mainstream news outlets that just, okay, apology made, no more story, let's move on. I don't agree with this. This is yet another example that Native rights, Native history is just a talking point. This is very similar in the United States with with people that are marginalized through housing, through banking, through employment, through education. You got Black Americans that are statistically treated absolutely different. You have real estate agents that when they go anonymous, they get like $100,000 to $200,000 more for the house. You'll have black real estate agents that bring in families of color that want to check out the house, and what do they get? They get arrested on the front lawn for viewing the house. So that's in America, and those are just two anecdotal kind of pieces of information that kind of paint a picture quite clearly. And why I bring this up for Native people is that, okay, so we had people come over here, we had no idea what was going on, and then millions of us start dying through disease. And then when that's over, we got these people that we've never met before that are fighting us for land. And they have a completely different ideology on how to live in an environment. And because they're more advanced in technology, it makes everything okay. And because they have a God on their side, it makes everything okay. Then they don't want it to get too messy. They want peace. They don't want this endless war. So then what happens? Then they start signing peace agreements. Then they start trying to integrate European life in North America. And they start doing vaccinations. Now, it used to be conspiracy theory. Now it's commonly known that the disease blankets and vaccines that were received by Native people, First Nation people in North America, it did more harm than good. Uh, this was why there was such a big outcry when this pandemic, the COVID 19, happened. They said, all right, when the vaccine's 100% ready to go, we're going to vaccine Native people first. There was pushback, and rightfully so. The last time we were given vaccinations, it didn't go well. So it was better that it went for old, regardless of background, family tree, whatever, how you want to label that. So you got that. So then it was just old people. But now we know that reserves and throughout Canada are not having the easiest of time. There's lack of budget to combat such a big event. As you know, the Canadian government doled out billions of dollars to deal with this, and the debt has gone up. So Native people got left behind yet again. Then, on the very day that was supposed to represent, kind of like a Remembrance Day for world wars or just war, truth and reconciliation for what was done to colonize this piece of land from coast to coast. It was supposed to be a day of remembrance and reflection. So we have our prime minister, the leader of our country, that only had 1/3 of the population of the country in which he runs that wanted to vote for him. He does his ceremonies and pays his respects the night before so he can leave in the morning on a flight to go on a vacation. He apologizes and regrets. What's an apology when all you hear is an apology? You got to see some action. So, what kind of actions has he made? None. So, since he hasn't done any actions and all he's done is apologize, and we had the news outlets just sweeping this by to continue on to bigger stories, is just There's no more proof, there's no more research I need to do than just what was done on the main stage. When you sweep it by, it means we don't matter. Now that the voting's over, you don't need us. Well, that's wrong. And I don't think this is going to get any better. I think it's going to get louder. And this is on his last run, so I don't really see him turning on his heels to make it right. I think he'll just drag it on and talk and say, we've done this, we got better water. In 2021, not having clean water and then providing clean water, to me, from my perspective, is kind of one of those things that should go without saying. It should be one of those things that are a basic standard. So if you make a mistake and then you go through the protocol of fixing that mistake and then you want to be lionized for it, no, you follow procedure on when mistake is made. None of that is going to be congratulated because the mistake was the first thing that set this whole thing off. So his mistake, going on vacation, then sweeping this aside. So I'm still on this. This still bothers me. This is still a huge, what would you call that? Splinter in the eye that can't be avoided. You can't avoid this. This is a pure reflection of character. So when you have this from your leader, attitude reflects leadership. What's the next 4 years going to be like? Lip service. That's what this represents. You have to take what is. You can't take something that didn't happen or cannot be proven and blow it up and make it a mountain. It's hard to do, and you shouldn't do it. If you don't have the facts, you don't have the proof, you don't have the evidence to back up your words, then you're just someone screaming into the void. And if you gather more people around you, well, that's the tragedy. But when you have nothing but the news, nothing but everyone echoing the same thing, like I say, I don't need to research this. This is just how it unraveled. So I am still bothered by it. I hope I'm not the only one still bothered by it. And I hope that Canadians from coast to coast can come together on this one and see that what was done was wrong. What was done was insensitive, disrespectful, and it marginalizes, it diminishes, it disrespects, it does everything. There's too many words to use. So when it comes to not wanting to get into politics, not wanting to keep up on politics, what happens is this type of behavior starts running rampant. It is work to be vigilant. It is work to have your civic duty occupy a lot of your time. Well, if we go into the extremes, because this is the best way to paint a picture, is that if you don't do anything, what are you going to do when it's too late? When all the bills have been passed and more rights have been stripped and you're required a listening license or something to that effect just to be a citizen. There was, you got many authors talking on this very subject. You got 1984, you got Tales from the Afternow. Those are audio podcast, fictional story. You got so many people that are having a wager on what the future will look like, what tyranny of the future will look like, authoritarianism. What will that look like? Well, there's a wide range, but it all depends on whether we're vigilant. That's the difference. If you look at human history and watch countries that rise and fall, you'll see the ongoing pattern that when the majority of the people do nothing, well, then you get that saying, evil prevails when good people do nothing. See why this is important to me is that it stands on the fault line. The fractures are very easy to see and there's more pressure on those weak points. And if this continues, then it'll be a future where the people have less rights. And I gotta say, having less rights is not the path. It is not the path. Freedom. Freedom is something that I heard Joe Rogan talk about, America's freedom. And it was very generalized. And it oversteps a lot of history that are for his argument and against it. But I will, instead of pushing against what he said, I will say that he is onto something. You look at two countries. One has freedom and one doesn't. One has like a militant government hold on its people and what can and cannot be done. I've been hearing more and more people talk about other countries that have a strong hold on their population, being like, maybe we should have a little bit of that here. The grass is always greener. No. These countries that you're talking about are about to implode, and they don't have friends. So freedom is the path. But you have to accept the pros and cons of freedom. I'd rather have adversity and freedom than adversity from a government that's paid billions of dollars to keep the status quo as it is. That's harder. How are you going to change that? Especially when any type of dissent will cause you to have less civil liberties, like voting, for example, or going across the country on a trip. These things could be stripped away from you. So it is on us to be more vigilant. It is on us to pay attention. And well, Josh, the world's too gross and ugly. That's only that way because we, as the majority, as the proverbial whole, have been letting evil succeed. Bad succeed. Illegal, criminal succeed. Pick your word. I don't care. If you think the world is a bad place, it's because good people have been sitting back and watching American Idol for too long. I'm not saying revolution. Absolutely not. Unless things get so bad that it's worse than a movie. So what do we need to do? We need to inform ourselves on who's representing us locally. So you got to pay attention to your local politics. What's going on federally? You got to pay attention to that. You also got to pay attention to the provincial as a whole. So this all stems from a government that will marginalize and then continue to walk away from. Just brush off their shoulder. That's why all of this is mentioned. That's why I mention it all, because it's all connected. Not in a conspiracy way, but like a spider web. You can't make a spider web without having multiple points of contact. Multiple points of contact. So it's no conspiracy, it's just reality. And if you're going to avoid reality because you feel powerless, well, then you actually have no power. Perceived power is gained power. Perceived loss is gained loss. You actually do lose. All up here. But if you feel that you're a tax-paying, voting citizen of this country, then you have an extraordinary amount of power. Yes, there are fine lines in speech. Canada does not have free speech. But so with that being said, we gotta just not be radical. Not at all. We just gotta be reasonable and well informed. This does not need to be a war between parties. If you identify as a liberal, an NDP or a Green or even conservative, you're already wrong. You're wrong because they don't represent you. They want your vote. And once they get their vote, they move on and they brush you off. For example, people are like, well, Josh, Trudeau did legalize marijuana. Well, he did. Absolutely. And look at the industry throughout the country. It's a mess. British Columbia could be one of the richest provinces in Canada, but it's not. And we don't get enough representation in the West. And the reason being is that it'll tip the scale of power in the status quo when you're dealing up the seats on how many seats are claimed. If you add more, does that mean you got to take more away from another place just to keep the same numbers? Well, if that's the case, then maybe Ontario, Montreal, and Toronto should have less. Maybe between Quebec and Ontario, we start trimming down those seats, or we add more. Point being, when you have, it's like it's late in the game and we're behind in points. Does that mean it's impossible to win? Absolutely not. Does it mean that we gotta like muster monumental effort as a single person? No. As a single person, all you gotta do is step up. But if everyone steps up, then that is the monumental effort. That is the monumental amount of energy. So you as an individual don't have to do much. You don't have to do much. It's just a little bit. But if everyone does a little bit, a lot gets done. So with a lot being done, and with these powers that be in Canada seeing that the climate of what the voters are concerned about and what matters to them has shifted so much that the main parties are disconnected, which they are. They are disconnected. They represent big business, and that's about it. They say things that they'll do, and they fall short. And there's just no money in it. And we got blocked, and there wasn't enough votes. That's the equivalent of having kids, and you're asking the kids to, sweep the floor, and I couldn't find the broom. Well, it is where it always is. Oh well, I spent a lot of time looking for it, and by the time when I passed, I had other things I had to do, so I moved on. That's the pattern. So if everyone does a little bit, we can see drastic change, and that's what needs to happen. I don't want the government to move fast. I want the population to show quickly what they support and what they don't. If anything's going to respond quickly, it should be the populace, not the government. I don't want any government moving quickly, but I don't want it moving slowly either, thinking, we need more statistics and more evidence to illustrate the bill that we're voting on, because without it, I don't know enough, and it would be irresponsible to proceed forward. We've heard this too many times. But if the population is all behind it, if they find out 90% of the Canadian population is for something, they got no choice but to start moving forward on it or get no votes. The fact that the Green gets such little votes shows me that Canada is very uneducated. I didn't vote for them. But this would have been a perfect opportunity to show the two main parties that they got to do something different. If there was a balloon effect for the PPC party, for the NDP and the Green, those three minor parties, if they had a huge balloon in votes, then the main parties would have to question whether they represent anyone anymore. This should already do it with this minority government. But they're only taking it as, I didn't get my way. It's like a spoiled child that didn't get their way. That's how these powers that be are viewing this last election. So Canada votes around 60 to 68% of the population votes. It's around average. It gets scary when you're getting down to 30 to 40%. Historically speaking, those are really rough times, and really bad things are a result of that. Things that no one would want to have represent them get in charge when it's that low. And when you have it really high, does that make a difference? All depends. If it's really high and everyone's voting conservative and liberal, then no, nothing changes. But if the numbers are high, like 70 to 80% of the population votes, then you're going to see, if the majority of them vote for these minor parties, then you'll have to see some change. So why is his taking a vacation on a day of truth and reconciliation important? It's important right down to voting. This guy got in, squeaked through again, and now he's just making decisions as he wants. He's a celebrity, not a politician. He's displayed this. This isn't my opinion. I'm watching him on television. I'm watching him with other celebrities. I'm watching him make these decisions. Go to India dressed up like in these costumes while there. He's making photo shoots about it, praying, holding his hand in prayer, smiling at the camera. This is when he went to India. He just greeted the Afghanistan refugees that were brought to Canada. He can meet with them, but he can't meet with Native people on Truth and Reconciliation Day. So priorities really determine who you are and what's important to you. So why did I do this video? I guess I wanted to expound on the fact that we have a leader that is built on lip service. And this isn't news. For everyone that didn't vote for him, they're like, Josh, I understand. But for the rest of you that don't understand or didn't pay attention or didn't want to pay attention, or you just got more things going on in your personal life than what's going on nationally, I get it. My life, like, come on, I took almost 2 years off of this channel. Life gets busy. I'm not judging anyone. I'm not forgiving anyone either, because no one owes me an apology. No one owes me anything. This is me just expounding, and I hope I'm not alone. I hope I'm not in an echo chamber either. But I'm trying not to base things off my feelings. What I am trying to do is just look at things as they are and then express my feelings because of them. How is that different? Well, if someone tells me I'm wrong, show me the information. I will adjust my view. My view is very adaptable, and I hope other people's are as well. Your view should not be written in stone. You should be malleable. We are mostly made out of water. Would you drink water that doesn't move? That's still water, brackish water. You don't want to drink that, that'll kill you. You want moving water. Moving water is healthy water. Moving mind, constantly flowing with information, constantly shifting on perspective. This is a healthy mind. So be more like water, as Bruce Lee says. And do as you say. Do as you say. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Don't say you will. Just be honest. Unlike our leader. Thank you for dropping by. That was my rant about that. But I do want to move on to a bigger international topic now. You got China dealing with Canada in the Michaels situation. It shows that China's trying to shift some gears internationally, trading, and not like I said in one of my last video. I thought China would not give up the Michaels, even if we surrendered Ming there, and I was wrong. And I'm glad I'm wrong. I'm very glad, and it changed my opinion. It changed my view. So why don't I bring it up China now? Well, they are flying bombers and jets into Taiwanese airspace, and some of those bombers are nuclear bombers. They're going through the South China Sea with their navy. They're pushing in on the Indian-China border. They're trying to claim this disputed land in the border. They're building a highway and a landing strip on this disputed ground that isn't theirs, but they claim it is. Now they're also saying they want peaceful they want to fold in Tibet peacefully, and they're telling America to get their special forces out of Taiwan. They're saying that Taiwan will be folded in. It's inevitable, and to stand in the way is wrong. Their country is having power shortages, and they met their that climate change goal that everyone agreed at. They met it because they turned a lot of things off, but they don't have the power to continue. So now they're going back to coal. They're firing up all those factories again. This is a concern. They want to be recognized, and they want to move forward peacefully. Now, when America went into Afghanistan, you heard Joe Biden say we weren't nation building. They didn't go in their nation building. They went in there to get people. So, did we make Afghanistan people speak English? Did we get them to refute their religion? Did we lock them up in concentration camps just because they're practicing a religion? No, we didn't do any of that. China's doing that. They're locking people up. They're getting everyone to speak their language. They are anti-religious. I brought up freedom for a reason. When you have a government like that that's suppressing the majority, and all these investments and bets that they're making, that China is, they're trying to not have a World War III, but they're being ready for it. They don't want to start it, but they want to finish one. So they're flying into this airspace, maybe to get shot at so they can retaliate. They're putting their boats out into disputed oceans to have a confrontation. They're pushing in on Indian territory and putting up an airfield just to see what the reaction is. We all watched, the whole world watched Russia go into, was it Crimea, and take it. And apparently they want Georgia and Jordan back, and they want all those other satellite countries that fell away at the end of the Cold War. They want all those countries back. There is a fear of Poland on their border, on what they got to deal with. There's fear there. There's been also Canadian, American, and some other European nations that have put troops to help build up that border with Poland. That wasn't loud on the news, but I heard about it on the news. So I bring up China because they don't want to start a fight, but they want to finish one. And they want to be left alone. They saw what America's done, and they want to do something similar in their way. They saw what Russia's been up to, and they want to do something similar with lands that they feel are traditionally theirs. See, they're practicing an old policy. America hasn't been claiming land. They've just been putting business in there. They've been putting military bases and business in these places. They don't claim it and put an American flag there anymore. They'll do it on their bases, but they don't do it to the country. They didn't tell Afghanistan to switch their flag to the American flag. They didn't do that to anywhere. But are they innocent colonizers? No. What country with a flag is innocent without bloodshed? The answer is none. No countries. They all have a bloody history. But there is an importance on detail. Detail and circumstances are important. They are. Well, Josh, the end result is the end result. Okay. And good intentions lead to hell. Okay. But isn't there a difference? Like when you're in court, if someone dies and you're the only one there and you're a part of it, you're telling me the details don't matter? You're going to go to jail no matter what? that every single person that takes out another human being, every single time they're guilty, no matter what. No, there's nuances to life. There always is, and it's hard because some nuances don't matter. Others do. And that creates the argument. So I bring up China and the fact that they need friendship, but then you're enabling. But then I ask you, what is enabling? What if China has been spending money and investing in their military and doing all these things? They are putting in government policies and programs of having only masculine men, no more effeminate men. They're hyping up the child limit, and they're also giving these tax breaks for new families. They're really investing in that to bring their population back up because, like I said in our past video, the majority of their population is old, on the verge of retiring. So that can cause a major collapse. So America's got to stop being the world police and just start giving freedom for free. And what that is just, in a way, influencing, in a way, not influencing, but showing regular people that you should have the freedom to be who you want to be as long as no one else gets hurt. And that's what these militant countries don't understand. That's why they're all going to fail. Some slower than others. But this is a long video. I'm sorry that I've droned on, but these current events are very important. They need to be paid attention to, both of them. And the latter could cause a global conflict. And in the situation that we're in, this would mirror World War I very much so. We're in an economic recession. There are a shortage of supply. There are trade disputes of travel routes and supply access. There's all sorts of contributing factors that cause strain and stress. People are worried about inflation. Inflation is going to get worse when there's going to be even less and less things, less and less access. This will have to fundamentally change our everyday life when it comes to consumerism. This might actually have to put a muzzle on capitalism. There might have to be massive adjustments that need to be made. But wouldn't that be better than World War III? Anyway, thank you for dropping by. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this has sparked some interest for you to run down these stories on your own, to learn more about them. And you know what? And if you do, educate me. If you see me, if you talk to me, or if you want to leave a comment, I'm more than willing to learn. There is always something new to every story. I hope you appreciate my time. I know I appreciate yours. Thank you for dropping by. All right. Bye-bye.